But the point is, none of this should matter. So why does it keep getting rolled out like a cheap diversity scorecard? Well, joining me now on the show is Rakib Ehsan, who's a columnist at The Critic. Rakib, I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing to boast of the fact that the 8 current candidates have half of them are women and at least 4 candidates from immigrant backgrounds. But, I mean, if we're living in a colourblind society, should we not be keeping a tally?
Well, I think that there's elements of the left and right who are looking to weaponise the demographically diverse nature of the Tory leadership contest. But the reality of the matter is, Alex, ultimately what it boils down to is substance and policy. That's what I'm primarily interested in. We are in the middle of a cost of living crisis, which is affecting families up and down the country. Even stable family units with prudent working parents struggling to make ends meet. In the sphere of education, we have many children, the lost children of the pandemic, suffering from persistent absence. We have school children who have also, their motor skills development has been stunted, record number of children receiving language therapy. I think that, for example, the government's levelling up agenda has really stalled. There's rural poverty and fishing communities are really missing from those left behind narratives as well. Communities which very recently voted quite heavily for the Conservative Party. So I think what I'm really getting at here is that there's a great deal of focus on the racial identity and ethnic heritage of the Tory leadership candidates. I want to hear more about what's their plan to create a more secure immigration regime, a more security-oriented asylum system. What are they going to do to help left behind communities which are, economically struggling, socially disconnected and culturally marginalised? What are they going to do to help lift educational standards in our local communities? So those are the kind of things that I'm really interested in, to be honest.
I want to run something past you because, I've always thought that there's a bit of a pattern that the liberal elite tend to go left-wing, and yet a lot of immigrants actually tend to go right-wing because perhaps they're from families with very traditional value systems. Perhaps it's because social mobility really matters. Perhaps it's because they're not from backgrounds where they are used to having welfare payments, countries like Nigeria, countries like Kenya. Do you think I've got a point there, or is that sort of making a sort of, a fabrication?
Oh, definitely, 100%. I think that I think what you see, Alex, you see lots of progressive liberal activists essentially exploiting ethnic minorities by suggesting that they are implementing or looking to push forward progressive policy proposals because it commands ethnic minority support. But when you actually look deep down within many ethnic minority communities in our country, they're deeply traditional, strong, family-oriented, community-spirited values. You talked a great deal about social mobility. There are migrant families up and down this country. They migrated to this great country largely because of the internationally respected education system.